Life has a way of testing you when you least expect it. One moment you're moving forward, thinking you finally have things under control, and the next moment something breaks. Your plans, your confidence, your heart, your sense of direction. Maybe it's a job that disappears, a relationship that falls apart, a failure you didn't see coming, or maybe nothing dramatic even happened. You just woke up one day and felt tired of being tired, exhausted from carrying the weight of everything inside your mind. And the scariest part is not the pain itself. It's the quiet question that starts forming in your chest. How much longer can I keep doing this? And if these conversations speak to something real in you, something grounded in truth, philosophy, and inner growth, consider subscribing. It's a small gesture, but it helps us reach more minds like yours, and it quietly signals that you're walking this path with intention. Rule 1. Accept that pain is the price of growth. Pain is the one thing every human being shares, yet it is the one thing most people spend their lives running from. We organize our choices around avoiding it. We choose safe paths, familiar routines, predictable relationships, and comfortable habits, believing that if we can just keep life from hurting, we will finally be okay. But here is the truth that changes everything. Pain is not the problem. Avoiding pain is. The moment you understand this, you stop being fragile and start becoming powerful. Every major transformation in your life will require discomfort. There is no exception to this rule. The job that challenges you will make you anxious before it makes you proud. The discipline that shapes your body will hurt before it strengthens you. The conversation that saves your future will feel terrifying before it feels freeing. Growth is not gentle. Growth is demanding. Growth asks you to shed the skin of who you were, and that shedding process always stings. But without it, you remain trapped in a version of yourself that no longer fits the life you are meant to live. Most people interpret pain as failure. They think if something hurts, something must be wrong. But the Stoics understood something timeless. Pain is information. It tells you where you are weak, where you are attached, where you are afraid, where you need to evolve. If you learn to listen instead of panic, pain becomes your teacher. Think about every moment in your life that truly shaped you, the heartbreak that forced you to understand yourself, the failure that humbled you, the rejection that redirected you, the fear that made you brave. None of those moments were comfortable, but each one carved you into someone stronger, wiser, more grounded. You are not who you are today because life was easy. You are who you are because you survived what was hard. The reason most people feel stuck is not because life is unfair. It is because they are trying to grow without feeling. They want the strength without the struggle, the reward without the risk, the change without the discomfort. And that version of growth does not exist. It never has. Imagine a muscle that never experiences resistance. It stays weak. Your mind works the same way. When life pushes against you, when circumstances stretch you, when fear tightens your chest, that is the mental weight you need in order to become resilient. Without it, you remain emotionally underdeveloped and psychologically fragile. Pain is not a punishment, it is preparation. Once you accept this, your relationship with difficulty changes. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" and start asking, "What is this building inside me?" That question alone transforms suffering into progress. Suddenly your struggles are no longer meaningless, they are part of your training. There will be days when life hits you from every direction. Days when you feel tired in your bones and heavy in your chest. Days when nothing goes according to plan. And in those moments, your mind will try to convince you that you are failing. But you are not failing. You are being shaped. The unbreakable mind understands that pain is temporary, but growth is permanent. Discomfort passes, the strength it builds stays, fear fades, the courage it forms remains, tears dry, the wisdom they leave behind becomes part of you. This does not mean you seek suffering for its own sake. It means when suffering arrives, and it always does, you refuse to waste it. You mine it, you study it, you extract the lesson. You let it carve space inside you for greater emotional depth, stronger boundaries, sharper focus, and deeper compassion. Because here is another truth most people avoid. Pain does not just make you strong. It makes you human. It teaches you empathy. It softens your judgments. It expands your understanding of yourself and others. It builds a quiet strength that no external success ever could. The people with the strongest minds are not the ones who lived the easiest lives. They are the ones who learned how to stand inside their pain without collapsing. They learned how to breathe when their chest felt tight, how to think clearly when their emotions were loud, how to keep moving when every part of them wanted to stop. They learned that breaking is not the end. Breaking is the beginning of becoming. One of the most dangerous illusions is believing that happiness means the absence of struggle. Happiness is not found in avoiding storms. It is found in becoming someone who can walk through them. When you stop expecting life to be painless, you stop being devastated every time it hurts. You become grounded, you become steady, you become strong. You stop needing everything to go right in order to feel okay. Rule 2. Train your mind to see options where others see walls. Your life will never be defined by what happens to you. It will be defined by how you interpret it. The moment something goes wrong, your mind instantly begins writing a story. And for most people, that story sounds something like this. I'm stuck. I'm trapped. There's no way out. This always happens to me. That story feels real. It feels convincing. It feels permanent. But it is not the truth. It is fear speaking in the language of certainty. The unbreakable mind learns to pause before believing the first story it hears. There is always a space between what happens and how you respond. Inside that space lives your power. The problem is that most people never learn to enter it. They react on instinct. They panic. They collapse emotionally. They allow circumstances to dictate their identity. But the Stoics understood something critical. You cannot always control the event, but you can always control your response. And the moment you take control of your response, you reclaim your life. When difficulty appears, the average mind sees only the wall. It stares at it. It complains about it. It resents it. It allows the wall to define what is possible. But the resilient mind does something different. It steps back. It observes. It looks for cracks. It looks for angles. It looks for tools. It looks for ways forward. Not because the situation is easy, but because the mind has been trained. Every time life challenges you, you are given a choice. Collapse into the story of limitation or rise into the mindset of possibility. And the more you practice choosing possibility, the stronger your mind becomes. Think about the moments in your life that felt impossible at the time. The ones that made your chest tighten and your thoughts race. The moments you thought you would never get through. And yet, here you are. The mind that once believed there was no way forward eventually found one. That is not luck. That is your inner problem-solving intelligence, and you can train it. Most people don't have a problem with reality. They have a problem with interpretation. When you lose something, a job, a relationship, a plan, the mind screams, "This is the end." But the unbreakable mind whispers, "This is a beginning. I don't understand yet." That shift changes everything. It doesn't remove the pain, it removes the paralysis. When something fails, the fragile mind asks, "Why me?" The resilient mind asks, "What now?" That question is the doorway to strength, because the moment you start asking, "What now?" you stop being a victim and become a participant. You stop waiting for life to rescue you and start building your way forward. You may not have all the answers. You may not see the entire path, but you don't need to. You only need the next step. This is where most people give up. They want clarity before movement. They want guarantees before effort. They want certainty before risk. But clarity comes from action, not from thinking. And certainty is built through experience, not imagination. When you move with courage, even while confused, something incredible happens. Your mind begins to trust itself. You discover that you can survive uncertainty. You realize that you can handle not knowing. You become flexible instead of fragile. Life does not break flexible minds. Every obstacle you face contains hidden instruction. Every failure contains redirection. Every closed door forces you to look for another. The mind that survives anything is the mind that refuses to accept the first no as the final answer. Rule 3. Build your mind on truth, not comfort. One of the most dangerous things a human being can do is lie to themselves. Not loudly, not intentionally, but quietly, in ways that feel reasonable and safe. These are the lies that keep you comfortable. I'm not ready yet. This is just who I am. I've tried everything. It's not the right time. I don't have what it takes. They don't sound like lies. They sound like explanations. They sound like protection. But over time, they become the walls of a prison you built with your own thoughts. The unbreakable mind is not built on comfort. It is built on truth. And truth is often uncomfortable. It demands that you look at your life without excuses. It demands that you accept responsibility for your choices. It demands that you confront the gap between who you are and who you could become. Most suffering does not come from what happens to you. It comes from the story you tell yourself about what happened. Two people can experience the same event and walk away with completely different lives. One becomes bitter, stuck, and afraid. The other becomes wiser, stronger, and clearer. The difference is not the event, it is the narrative. When something fails in your life, your mind immediately begins protecting your ego. It whispers, "It wasn't your fault. You did your best. There was nothing you could do." And sometimes that is true, but many times it is only partially true. The unbreakable mind does not stop at what feels good. It goes deeper. It asks, where did I avoid responsibility? Where did I hesitate? Where did I choose comfort over growth? That question is painful, but it is also powerful, because the moment you accept responsibility, you regain control. If your choices created your current life, then your choices can create a new one. The Stoics believed that we suffer not from events themselves, but from our judgments about events. In other words, your mind is not reacting to reality. It is reacting to the story it has built about reality. And that story determines your emotional state, your confidence, your motivation, and your future. Your fears, honestly, not to punish yourself, but to free yourself, because you cannot change what you refuse to see. The unbreakable mind does not hide behind victimhood. It does not blame the world for everything that goes wrong. It does not wait for circumstances to improve before taking action. It understands that life will always be imperfect, but your response does not have to be powerless. Truth removes illusions. Illusions feel good, but they steal your future. When you stop lying to yourself, something remarkable happens. The weight begins to lift. You stop fighting reality. You stop exhausting yourself trying to protect your ego. You become calm, grounded, clear, and from that place of clarity, real change becomes possible. Rule 4. Develop discipline before you feel ready. It is the moment between knowing what you should do and actually doing it. Most people wait in that moment. They wait to feel confident. They wait to feel motivated. They wait to feel ready. And while they wait, their life stays the same. Days become months. Months become years. And one day they look back wondering how so much time disappeared without anything changing. The unbreakable mind understands a truth that changes everything. Readiness is not a feeling. It is a decision followed by action. If you wait to feel ready, you will wait forever. Because the mind is designed to protect you from discomfort, not to push you toward growth. It will generate endless reasons to delay. You need more information, more money, more time, more confidence, better conditions. But conditions are never perfect. There is always uncertainty. There is always risk. There is always fear. Discipline begins the moment you stop negotiating with your comfort. You do the work even when your emotions say no. You show up even when your motivation disappears. You act even when your mind is full of doubt. Not because you are strong, but because you are becoming strong. The Stoics believed that excellence is not an act, but a habit, and habits are built in the moments no one sees. When the alarm goes off and you want to stay in bed, when the task feels heavy and your energy feels low, when the conversation feels uncomfortable and avoidance feels easier, those are the moments that shape your identity. The unbreakable mind understands that emotions are temporary, but the consequences of your actions are permanent. So you move even when your feelings hesitate. You do not wait for fear to disappear. You move with it. You do not wait for confidence to arrive. You build it through action. You do not wait for clarity. You create it by walking forward. Over time, this changes you. You stop needing motivation. You stop bargaining with yourself. You stop being controlled by how you feel in the moment. You become grounded, steady, reliable. You become the person who does what needs to be done when it needs to be done. Rule 5. Protect your mind like your most valuable asset. Your mind is the soil where everything in your life grows. Every thought, every decision, every emotion, every reaction begins there. If the soil is poisoned, nothing thrives. Most people guard their money better than they guard their mind. They lock their doors, protect their phones, insure their property, but they allow anyone and anything to enter their mental space. News, social media, toxic conversations, constant comparison, negativity, fear, noise. Then they wonder why they feel anxious, overwhelmed, unstable, and exhausted. The unbreakable mind is not built in chaos. It is protected deliberately. What you consume becomes what you think. What you think becomes how you feel. How you feel becomes how you live. When your mental inputs are chaotic, your life becomes chaotic. If you truly want to become mentally unbreakable, you must become ruthless with your attention. You must choose carefully what enters your mind, because once it enters, it begins shaping you. Your nervous system was never designed to process the amount of stimulation modern life throws at it. Constant alerts, opinions, headlines, comparisons, arguments, tragedies, trends. Your mind cannot stay grounded under that pressure unless you intentionally filter what you allow in. When you protect your mind, something shifts. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop absorbing everyone else's energy and start generating your own. You stop living inside the chaos of the world and start building order inside yourself. Strong minds are built through daily rituals of protection. Mornings that begin with silence instead of scrolling, evenings that release the day instead of replaying it, moments of stillness where you breathe and return to yourself, boundaries that keep you aligned with your values instead of drained by your environment. You cannot build an unbreakable mind while living in constant mental pollution. When your inner world becomes calm, your outer world follows. You become steady in situations that used to shake you. You become focused where you once felt scattered. You become calm in moments that once triggered panic. Rule 6. Embrace solitude as your training ground. Most people are afraid of being alone, not physically alone, but mentally alone. Alone with their thoughts, alone with the version of themselves they've been running from. So they fill the silence with noise, because silence forces confrontation, and confrontation forces change. The unbreakable mind is not built in the crowd, it is built in the quiet. When you are alone, without distraction, the truth rises. The unresolved emotions, the fears, the regrets, the doubts, the parts of you that need attention. Most people flee from this moment, but the strongest people in history moved toward it. They understood that solitude is not a punishment, it is a classroom. In silence, you learn who you are without the world's influence, and that knowledge becomes your foundation. Solitude strips away the masks you wear for other people, the performance, the expectations, the persona you think you must maintain. In that space, you meet your real self, and that relationship, the one you build with yourself, becomes the strongest one you will ever have. When you become comfortable in your own presence, something powerful happens. You stop needing validation. You stop chasing approval. You stop fearing abandonment. You stop outsourcing your worth to the opinions of others. You become internally anchored. That internal anchor is what allows you to survive anything. When life becomes loud, your inner world remains quiet. When chaos surrounds you, your mind remains steady. When people leave, circumstances shift, plans collapse, you remain. Solitude teaches you that you are enough, not because you achieved something, not because someone told you so, but because when everything external is removed, you are still here, still breathing, still standing, still whole. That realization changes everything. Rule 7. Decide that quitting is not an option. There comes a moment in every life when you must draw a line. A moment when you stop leaving the door open for retreat. A moment when you stop bargaining with yourself about whether you will continue. That moment is the birth of the unbreakable mind. Most people fail not because they lack talent, intelligence, or opportunity, but because they keep quitting as an option. They say they want change, but in the back of their mind, they are still holding on to an escape. And as long as quitting exists as a possibility, your commitment will always be conditional. The unbreakable mind makes a different decision. I do not quit on myself. Not when it becomes difficult, not when it becomes slow, not when it becomes uncomfortable, not when doubt gets loud. This decision does not make life easier. It makes you stronger. The moment you remove quitting from your identity, everything changes. Obstacles stop being reasons to stop and become challenges to solve. Failures stop being endings and become feedback. Pain stops being an excuse and becomes proof that you are still in the fight. It is the promise you make to yourself that no matter how many times you fall, you will stand again. That no matter how long it takes, you will keep moving. That no matter how heavy the road feels, you will not abandon the person you are becoming. And this promise is proven in small moments, quiet ones, the days when no one is watching, when the motivation is gone, when the results are invisible, when the temptation to stop feels overwhelming. Those moments build your identity. Every time you continue when it would be easier to quit, you collect evidence. Evidence that you are resilient. Evidence that you are capable. Evidence that you can be trusted. Over time, that evidence becomes self-trust. And self-trust is the most powerful form of confidence a human being can possess. When life tests you, and it will, you will not collapse into panic. You will not spiral into helplessness. You will not freeze in fear. You will say, I've been here before. I survived. I'll survive again. This is the mind that survives anything. No matter what you're facing right now, remember this. You are not broken. You are becoming. Every challenge, every quiet struggle, every moment you choose not to give up is shaping a stronger version of you than you can yet see. Keep walking, keep building, keep trusting the process, even when the path feels heavy. And before you go, take a moment to watch one of the videos on your screen. It may be exactly the next message your mind needs to hear. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing this inner work. And thank you for being a part of Psychresto Mind.